Matrix multiplication. While we could multiply numbers all the time, sometimes matrices cannot be multiplied. There's a requirement to be able to multiply two matrices. And this is what the requirement is. First, write the dimensions of the matrix. So this is a 3 by 3. The first number is always the number of rows. 3 by 3. The second number is always the number of columns. Now let's write the dimensions or the size of the matrix. So 3 rows, 2 columns. We say this is a 3 by 3 and this is a 3 by 2. We don't say 3 times 3. Say 3 by 3, 3 by 2. And here's the requirement once you write the dimensions down. If these middle numbers are equal, then you could multiply them. If these middle numbers were not equal, then we would say this matrix product does not exist. In other words, it cannot be done. So this multiplication can be done. So if we could do the multiplication, how is it done? It's always done the same way. The matrix on the left, you highlight the rows. The matrix on the left, you highlight the rows. The matrix on the right, you highlight the columns. So you're going to multiply each one of these rows times these 2 columns. So let's multiply the first row times the first column. The first of the row times the first of the column. Plus the second of the row times the second of the column. Plus the third of the row times the third of the column. Since we're done multiplying this row times this column, you put a comma. Now it's the first row times the second column. The first of the row times the first of the column. Plus the second of the row times the second of the column. Plus the third of the row times the third of the column. So we close it off here because we ran out of columns. We already multiplied the first row times the first column and the second column. The second row times the 2 columns, you do it exactly the same. The first of the row times the first of the column. Plus the second of the row times the second of the column. Plus the third of the row times the third of the column. Since we're done multiplying the whole row times the whole column, you put a comma. Now it's the second row times the second column. The first of the row times the first of the column. Plus the second of the row times the second of the column. Plus the third of the row times the third of the column. You close it off since you're done multiplying the first row times the 2 columns. You do exactly the same thing with the third row. So it's going to be the third row times these 2 columns, and this is what you get. Now what we're going to do is each of these groups that are divided by the comma are going to turn into one number. So you simplify, you do your multiplications, and this is what we have. Now do your addition. Do the additions. So -1 plus 14 plus 3 is 16. So you put a 16 here. Notice you don't put the commas anymore. 4 plus 0 plus 6, 10. -4 plus 0 plus 6, 2. 16 plus 0 plus 12, 28. -7 plus 56 plus 9, 58. 28 plus 0 plus 18, 46. And then notice that the dimensions, the size of the product, was already given to us from the beginning. The inner ones tell us we could multiply, and the outer ones, 3 by 2, that tells you how big your answer is going to be. So we know ahead of time, after we're able to multiply, that our product is going to be a 3 by 2, a 3 by 2.